Long these hot conditions will last and if we'll have any rain to cool us down.
WBRC Fox 6 News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
Look, we knew there were going to be heat advisories today, so Tania, you dressed appropriately, right?
Light and bright.
Yeah. So you and I were talking, having a discussion earlier about the heat advisory that we have in effect across our area right now for heat index levels 100 to 105. But, you know, we start seeing those extremes. That's when, you know, we start talking first alert weather day kind of heat. Look, it's going to be dangerous, but we're not seeing excessive heat advisory. So watch out for that over the next couple of days.
Absolutely. It's going to be hot even as we bring in the 4th of July. So stay with us. Keep staying hydrated, wearing that sunscreen, limiting your time out in that direct sunlight, Wes, because heat safety is very important during these summer months.
It certainly is. That's the next big thing we're talking about here is the building heat index as the muggy air makes a return not only across Alabama, but those extremes that we're talking about. You can see back to the west there, looking at some areas where the heat index could actually top 110 degrees back into parts of Mississippi. You know, we start seeing that kind of heat here coming up. It could be rough around the 4th, but we're going to be watching to see what the latest data shows. Right now, it looks like we're going to be talking about another heat advisory, but for the heat index up to 105, still dangerous. Any way you put it there, you'll want to make sure you take frequent breaks. Don't overdo it. This hot weather, it sneaks up on you. Make sure, again, you try to avoid that peak heating of the day and just avoid strenuous outdoor activities during the peak heating of the day. That ridge that's causing the mainly dry conditions that we're dealing with also playing a big role in what happens with Hurricane Beryl. And you know, we talked about this last week, how this would kind of keep that system further south. If this ridge would have weakened perhaps a bit sooner, we might have seen that hurricane take more of a turn to the north. But actually in this case, if it strengthens, it will pick up the system and help to pull it northward over the weekend. At this point, the way the models are playing things out here, it looks like it's going to be moving towards northern Mexico perhaps. It's actually a major hurricane still, Cat 4, winds of 155 miles per hour. So it's forecast to be a more intense, more powerful system as it makes its next impact on land, and it looks like it will perhaps make a landfall in southern Jamaica. And you see Jamaica's right in the path of this thing. So yeah, it's going to be a rough 24-48 hours there for Jamaica, surrounding islands, and it's going to end up actually moving over the Cayman Islands right there, possibly as a Category 2 on Thursday. That's Cozumel right there. The Yucatan will be impacted. A landfall possible on Friday with winds of 85 miles per hour. And then it moves over the southwest Gulf of Mexico, and you can see the data and the latest advisory here actually shows a landfall either South Texas or into northern Mexico for Sunday or into Monday of next week. And what's going to happen by that point is we'll see westerly winds perhaps pick up some of this moisture and kind of wrap it in across the region. So it could enhance our chances for scattered showers and thunderstorms next week. So that's why we're still keeping a close eye on that as far as local impacts as well into next week. But the heat advisories, we'll see more of these, especially with the 100 to 105 degree temperatures. But of course, scattered storms could help us out in the afternoon, cool things off. But we'll talk more about what to expect there for the 4th of July, Thunder on the Mountain. That's going to be coming up here on First Alert Weather Extra. Had a couple of showers there over far southwest areas, but of course, as we continue to track the tropics, Beryl has lessened in intensity to a Category 4 hurricane as it continues its path there towards Jamaica and the Cayman Island. Those residents are preparing for impacts. The Prime Minister in Jamaica speaking about how they're getting ready.
We are taking this precautionary stance now because it is easier to be prepared when you're standing on your 2 feet than when you are in the midst of a hurricane struck down. So we're being, not overly cautious, not in a panic mode, but we are being very strategic in our response, and we want to convey.
And check out these stunning images from inside the eye of Hurricane Beryl. You get that stadium effect. These were taken by the NOAA WP3 D. Orion Hurricane Hunter aircraft, also known as a Miss Piggy. But what an incredible view there, Tania. It's just amazing. You know, we were looking the other day, some of the satellites that we have these days. We just think about how far the technology has come as far as visualizing these hurricanes from space. You could actually see the waves, the white caps of the waves inside the eye of the hurricane. But of course, those are actual pictures, and we're so thankful for all of our brave men and women from NOAA to the Air Force hurricane hunters, what they do, putting safety on the line to fly into these things to gather this critical data, because this goes into the models that helps us forecast where the hurricane is going.
Yeah, absolutely stunning pictures there. This comes after Beryl left parts of St. Vincent and the Grenadines with no electricity or water. The report was made by Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves Monday evening. He also shared photos depicting the devastation as the hurricane continues to move through the Caribbean. Thankfully, the hurricane no longer poses a threat to this area, but the island's meteorological service is still urging the population to stay away from the shores due to the conditions being rough and hazardous. But with Beryl weakening, meteorologist Matt Daniel joins us now with an in-depth explanation on how wind shear could be playing a part in its weakening and how it impacts hurricanes.
We are talking about the tropics, of course, Hurricane Beryl being a big story this week and going into the weekend. But let's talk about hurricanes and how they form. Obviously, you need a tropical wave initially, some moisture, an area of low pressure to form. And then as it starts to gain a lot of that rising motion within, you get those strong thunderstorms, lots of updrafts within the system. So then once that storm becomes a depression or a tropical storm, or when it becomes a tropical storm, it receives a name. And then of course, when winds are over 74 miles per hour, we call it a hurricane. But just to give you an idea on how the hurricane structure works, it's all about the circulation. So the flow spreads inward near the surface, and the flow spreads outward at a certain height. So you start to see the storm expand, and you can see it moving counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere, and you get sinking motion where the eye is located at. An area of high pressure aloft creates that sinking motion, and the more defined the eye, or the more clear the eye is, indicates a stronger storm. And usually the most intense winds occur right along that eye wall, especially in that northeast quadrant of a hurricane. Now, when it comes to Beryl itself, as we go in the next couple of days, we are forecasting wind shear to increase in parts of the Caribbean. What is wind shear? Well, that wind shear sort of acts like a candle. So if you got a candle and it's lit, if there's no air around, it's going to continue to burn. But if you blow into that candle, the candle goes away. Well, that's how tropical systems work. If you got a lot of wind shear going against the system, sometimes it disrupts that overall flow, and then it starts to weaken a little bit. So we got those strong upper level winds, and that's when you can see that system starting to weaken a good bit, and that means the winds go down and its structure isn't intact. So we're going to have to watch to see how that evolves over the next several days. The Beryl forecast, very complicated, because it's going to be impacting with a wind shear. It's going to be interacting with land, for instance, Jamaica, maybe the Yucatan Peninsula. And then we have a lot of uncertainty going into the weekend as it moves into the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. Could it just move due west into Mexico, or will it steer more to the north, getting closer to the parts of the United States? A lot of questions, and we're going to be here throughout the week and the weekend giving you those answers.
We sure will. We've got the answers to your questions. And in 30 seconds, we'll have the answer to your questions on what that forecast for this evening looks like, plus bringing you some helpful gardening tips. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
And welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt. We were tracking a couple isolated showers over into West Alabama. We were picking up on some of this with the model data yesterday. Just a couple tiny showers around Gainesville, but at the moment we are dry here. Tuscaloosa, go north towards Fayette, Jasper, Hamilton. Yeah, still looks dry. No pop-ups around Jefferson, Shelby County. Talladega, Jacksonville, Gadsden. Yeah, it's just hot and steamy out there at this time. Let's go ahead and check out the forecast here. Rain chances coming to an end. Warmer night feels likewise because of that humidity. You can see 9-10 o'clock temperatures in the 80s across the area. Making those plans for the 4th of July. Looking ahead to Independence Day, we'll see some scattered storms in the afternoon, but those should quickly dissipate once we lose the heating of the day. So if you're planning on attending one of the big fireworks shows around the area, it looks like for the evening that we'll see most areas trending drier there, but it's going to be very warm, certainly feeling like July. As always say, Tania, feeling like the dog days of summer.
I love it. Even though we get pop-up showers during the summertime, sometimes that's not enough to keep our lawns hydrated. Meteorologist Shinti Rodriguez joins us now with an expert on how to keep our lawns cared for.
With summertime, heating also comes to the chance for abnormally dry conditions, which can cause issues for your lawn or garden. Today, I'm joined by Roger House of Alabama Professional Services, who specializes in lawn care. Roger, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
My grass is brown, so I have a few questions because I know we all want to know how to keep our grass green during the summer and when we have dry weather. So how often should we water the grass during a period of dry weather?
You should make sure your grass is getting at least 1 inch of water a week. But when you're watering it, water it for 5 minutes and then come back to that same zone again and water it again for 15 minutes. That way the ground gets a little wet and then it absorbs the rest of the water.
And how many times a week should we do that?
Probably 3 times a week when we're not getting no rain. So.
Oh wow, I didn't know that, and that's great tips. And what is the best time of the day to water the grass? Is it the morning, noon, the afternoons?
In the morning, between 5 and 9, turn your water on to water it. If you water it at night, it takes a chance of causing a fungus, and the fungus will spread and make your yard even browner. So.
Oh wow, that's good to know because I was doing it backwards. I was doing it in the evening, so this is very helpful, very helpful. And are there any products that could keep the grass green during this time?
Yes, so we've got something called a moisture manager. You put that on, you water it in, and this management moisture, it pulls the water from the air, and boom, you don't have to water as much.
I'm gonna have to get some of that. Is there any other recommendation on how to keep the grass green and how often we should cut it also?
Cut it about every 5 days, but during drought and dry times, cut it about 1 inch higher than what you usually do. This way you're not trying to kill it and the roots are covered by the grass.
Perfect, that sounds great. Now I know how to take care of my lawn. Thank you so much for joining us today, Roger, and providing us with these tips on lawn care during the summertime. Thank you.
Not a problem, thank you.
And thank you for those helpful tips. As we continue to talk about the heat and its effects, President Biden announcing new actions to curb extreme weather. Those measures will include new federal safety standards for heat in the workplace, more emergency management for resilience against flooding, and more money to protect communities against unexpected weather.
Ignoring climate change is deadly and dangerous and irresponsible. These climate-fueled extreme weather events don't just affect people's lives, they also cost money, they hurt the economy, and they have a significant negative psychological effect on people.
Meanwhile, FEMA announcing today that it will award nearly $1 billion for more than 650 climate resilience projects. But don't go anywhere. We continue to bring details about the current heat advisories as well as upcoming rain chances for the rest of your week. Stay tuned. You're watching First Alert Weather Extra.
Well, heat advisories popping up across the state today. A live look from Tuscaloosa. It's 93, but notice a feels-like temperature of 104. And you can actually see the tops of some of those little pop-up showers that we were noticing there south of Tuscaloosa down into Greene County and parts of Sumter County. 89 in Birmingham. It's mostly clear sky at this time. Really cleared out from earlier today. We had some of those morning low clouds. Winds at east-southeast at 11. Feels like 97, though. Certainly the heat index kicking in also around the Birmingham area, and in Anniston 86 degrees, feels like 93. Actually, this view there from the Calhoun County 911, that is the camera there high atop Chimney Peak in Calhoun County, but not a lot of rain. Just a couple of these little pop-ups, and again we can see some of those towering clouds over into West Alabama, but that is it. Most areas will stay dry for this evening. Next few days though, that heat index will start to rise into that 100, 105 range in a lot of areas. If we start to see some of those extremes again, 110, 115, we will certainly issue some first alert weather days, so just check in with us here over the next several days as these heat levels build. Still dangerously hot with this kind of weather out there. It's that time of the year. The temperatures during the day are running not far from the average mark, but the humidity, it just makes it feel so much hotter out there. 6 o'clock in the morning, again some low clouds around early in the day, maybe a couple of pop-up showers tomorrow afternoon. The model data is not showing a lot happening in this latest run. You can see around 4 o'clock there for Wednesday, showing 95 Tuscaloosa, 93 Birmingham, Anniston around 92. Still though, with this kind of weather, the moisture, the hot air, we could have some heat activated pop-ups, but just a small chance there for tomorrow. Better chance on Thursday during the afternoon. See there some scattered showers, perhaps a thunderstorm later in the day. So that's what we're going to be tracking in the days ahead. Those afternoon storms, a much greater chance for the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. No direct impacts from Hurricane Beryl through the end of the work week or weekend. Tomorrow makes an impact in Jamaica, Cayman Islands, and it's going to be moving on into the Southwest Gulf after crossing the Yucatan this weekend. But beyond the weekend, some of the moisture from this, as the system makes the landfall, the remnants kind of move in, maybe across Texas there. That south flow could generate or bring in some of that very moisture-rich air into next week. And really, the strength of that high over the region, that's what's really driving that system there off to the west and may allow it to slide even further northward. So we need to watch for that possibility over the western Gulf, at least this weekend. Regardless, I don't think we're going to see direct impacts from a hurricane or tropical storm over the state, but we could see some of that leftover moisture, some of that energy help to enhance our rain chances into next week. But Saturday and Sunday, scattered showers this weekend. Of course, check in with us as we track Beryl. But there was another system out there as we go to Tania. That Invest 96L out over the central Atlantic. That system now much weaker and a lower chance for development.
Yeah, matter of fact, Wes, it only has about a 20% chance of development, and we're going to pay very close attention to that as well. But looking beyond the 7-day, 8 to 14 days out from now, July 10th through the 16th, most of the U.S., if not really all of it. I mean, Texas is always hot, so even though it's near average, it's still hot for them. But most of us dealing with above average temperatures. So it's going to be staying hotter than where we are normally at this time of the year, even across central Alabama and the whole state as a whole. As we look at our 8 to 14 day rainfall outlook, we're looking at a mix across the U.S. areas across the Pacific Northwest and our northern states across the United States. Below average rainfall, some of us more near average. But as we move further down south and to the East Coast, more above average rainfall expected. And that includes us here across central Alabama. And that's our 8 to 14 day rainfall outlook from July 10th through the 16th. We love giving you all updates on what's happening beyond the 7-day, but I want to head to the kitchen to talk about some food because, you know, we like to cook up a storm here on Weather Extra. This week, meteorologist Lauren Linehan teamed up with Jillian Brooks as she uses blueberries, love blueberries, as a way to create a delicious summer treat.
So where do we start?
So we're gonna start, this is a 7-ingredient recipe.
Okay.
So super simple. So we're gonna start off with about a third a cup of butter. That's like a little over a half a stick. The packaging says where to cut.
Okay.
And then, I don't remember how much sugar this is. I think it's a third of a cup. But we're gonna add sugar and we're just gonna blend this all together.
All right.
So we're gonna start with that. And you wanna make sure your butter's softened. So mine's been sitting out for a couple hours now. But last night when I made these to have them ready to go today, I just put them outside for literally 20 minutes.
Oh.
And they were softened because it's that hot there.
No.
Yeah.
You seem to keep score our advantage.
Yes.
So you don't have to melt the butter.
Don't melt it. Have it soften. Yeah. So you want it to bring up this kind of like fluffy like consistency. And then this is where we're going to add our blueberries. So today I'm using frozen, just because it was easier to have in the freezer.
Right.
But if you have fresh blueberries, which is what I used the first time I made these, you're gonna want to stick them in the microwave for about 30 seconds because you want some of those juices to kind of come out, if that makes sense.
We love the juice.
We love the juice. So we're gonna go ahead and pour those in. And now what this is gonna do when we mix this together is you kind of want to like smash the blueberries like into the butter and the sugar. So, and just kind of have like the skin left over. So just mix this all together, and that's how you're gonna get that pretty purple color like Lauren's blazer. Yeah. Yeah, so you just kind of mash it all together.
So it's okay for blueberries to get beaten up?
Yes, you want them to get beaten up a little bit. Yeah, they didn't do anything bad, but you just want to get beat up a little bit. And you can see some of the skins are starting to... Yeah, and so they're literally, so they're naturally colored. You don't have to add any kind of coloring into them. So then from here, what I have a separate bowl. So I have, I think, a cup of flour. I will double check all of these measurements, and we're gonna put them online because I did this last night and I do not remember. So this is some flour, and then this is some baking powder and some salt.
Okay, and that's if you have a certain type of flour, right?
I just use all-purpose.
Okay, all-purpose. Gotcha.
Yep. So I mean, I feel like you could probably use like oat flour or like cake flour. I don't know what that will do to the consistency, but I feel like it would still come out to be a cookie. So, and then we're just going to go ahead and add this in.
Okay.
You could add it slowly. I'm not going to today for the sake of time. But either way, it works. If you have a stand-up mixer, just pour it in like a little bit at a time. So this is where your dough is really going to start to come through.
I think it looks great.
Great. So there's your dough, and then you're going to pour in, this is about a cup of chocolate chips, white chocolate chips, but I'm sure dark chocolate would also be really good, or regular chocolate, whatever you want to use, and then just fold these in with your spatula, whatever you have on hand. The oven goes on 400 degrees. We're just going to put that out plain and simple. And as it preheats, that's when you're going to stick this in the fridge, and you want it to kind of like get cold before you go ahead and drop it onto the tray. So.
All right, heat advisories, of course, tracking Hurricane Beryl. Will be interesting to see how strong that system is tonight at 9.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Check in for updates because we'll have them here for you first at 9 and again at 10. Have a great evening.
Have a great evening.
Hey, let's do it, my friend. In 3, 2. Hey there, everyone. First Alert meteorologist Tania Michelle here with a look at that 7-day forecast. Yes, we have a rain chance on every day on the 7-day, but let me break this down for you. More isolated activity Wednesday. We'll see more widely scattered showers and an isolated storm possible for the 4th of July, but looking at clear and drier conditions for your Thursday night, just in time to catch some 4th of July fireworks. It's going to be a hot day over the next several days, although actual air temperatures in the low to mid 90s. The heat index is what's going to be up there. Low 100s. Heat advisories in effect Wednesday, so just make sure you're staying hydrated and wearing sunscreen. Also taking breaks from being out in that direct sunlight for long periods of the day. This weekend, the greatest rain and storm chance will be Saturday, but we can't rule out showers and storms Sunday as well. We are tracking Beryl as well because that could impact our rain chances as we head into the end of the weekend and even early next week. As of right now, more scattered activity with temperatures still hanging on right where they need to be or where they usually are this time of year in the 90s. If you want more forecast updates, you can download the WBRC First Alert weather app.